Alright. What's up, everybody? We're here in the Masters Coliseum 6 with Dark in the top right side of the map playing Zerg. And he's, of course, playing a Zerg vs. Zerg up against Europe's finest. What? It's Reynor for Basilisk, but he's playing Protoss. This man is back on the Protoss hype train. And that's awesome, because the last time these two played PvZ versus each other in a big tournament, remember, they went 3 wins and 3 losses. And Reynor still says to this day he didn't lose that grand finals versus Dark about a year ago in PvZ, because technically they were 3 wins, 3 losses in PvZ, but Reynor picked Zerg on a map which he didn't think was as good for Protoss, and he lost that map to Dark. So he maintains he never lost PvZ to Dark. He just failed to win. I love it. It's got this sort of Chael Sonnen vibes, you know, the who knew that an Italian kid, undefeated, undisputed, best Protoss player in the world, who's also a Zerg, absolute beast. Reynor, a Chad gamer, obviously says it with a very self-aware, cheeky grin on his face when he does say that. But looks like he's going to have another shot at Dark in the PvZ matchup. Reynor is a big believer that most Protoss players are stupid in this matchup, and they build way too many Stalkers and then complain that Mass Stalker doesn't win. He believes Blink Stalkers are an amazing unit, and you should get somewhere between 10 and 20 of them if you really need to, but the less is normally better, because the more Stalkers you build, the less gas you have for units that beat Zerg, like Archons, Disruptors, Colossus, Storm, all those good things. So Reyn is a big believer. The big thing that Protoss players do is they miss the transition out of Stalkers into those better units. I know Harstam agrees with him. I kind of agree. I also, though, feel that the weakness of Protoss at pro level, especially against a guy like Dark, is that he is hard to figure out what he's doing. He will surprise you with weird BS all-ins all the time, and scouting those and being safe against them is very difficult. And so generally, going for Mass Stalker is a better way to survive. The problem is that, of course, you then have a big falling off point when those Stalkers kind of expire. They don't become as powerful. So it's it's kind of one of these things where it's like, yeah, you can overwhelm people with Stalkers at the right time, but they will get bad as the game goes on. So it looks like double chrono on the Adept. So Reyn is going to start with Adept pressure. Problem is, Dark loves to distract you with a nice little Ling run by, and he even splits the Lings up as well. So that's going to force this to just be a single Adept pressure. Adept does get between the bases, and we can already see, look at this. Adept's going to hunt that one down, but another Zerg comes in the natural. Let's see how Reyn is multitasking in. Quickly A moves 3 probes, kills it, doesn't lose one, and he's in the main at the same time, but he doesn't get any drones just yet, and the Queen gets a bit of damage on the Adept because he was distracted. On the other hand, he's killed the 2 Zerglings, and he's not too damaged. He's also forced a lot of Zerglings and a Quickling speed out of Dark, so I think he can just return home, saying, hey, I've got a worker advantage, we're feeling reasonably healthy. Pylon starts a little late here, but I think that's going to slow down his second Oracle. So good distraction by Dark. We get to see Reynor didn't start that second Pylon on time, and that Oracle is going to be supply blocked. At least he's not really missing much probe production. See, these probes are finishing, and the Pylon's finishing at the same time. But it does slow down his second Oracle just a little bit. So good multitasking pressure there from Dark. Dark catches an Adept moving out to the third. He'll get a probe as well, and that next Oracle being delayed, slowing down his third. Dark's finding value here in the multitasking of the early game. So one of Reynor's biggest strengths is his mechanics, but look at that. Oh, he goes too deep. He goes too deep. He could have got 2 drones and got out very healthy. He goes for more and doesn't find any more damage. There are still 2 Adepts on this natural, but that Oracle very slow. Reynor needs that third base yesterday. He ends up making a 3rd gateway here, which is very good for safety against Dark, just in case he does all in you. But that 3rd Nexus very slow. Reynor needs to not miss a beat on his probe production, and he is pausing probes in the main momentarily, continuing to chrono boost Oracles as we speak. Second Oracle still chilling at the 3rd, did use a lot of its energy, and this means there's not much pressure on Dark. So Dark is getting away with not the biggest Queen count, pretty quick Evo chamber, and he's going to try and play his Mass Zergling style, I believe. Dark is kind of crazy with his Mass Zergling style. He tends to play it insanely greedy. Stalker's going to shoot down this Overlord. It's going to pull back towards that pillar. It does go down. Double Oracle goes to the south side. Zergling spots him coming, I believe. And there's 3 Queens down there. It should be more than enough to defend. Adepts on the north. Trying to shade in, but they've been spotted, so he should probably cancel this. Reynor, cancels it. He was thinking about getting that 4th drone. Good pullback so far by Reynor. Forge is on the way, still no Twilight. Uh-oh. I think he forgot his Twilight. I think he meant to queue it up, but he didn't have enough gas. Yeah, he's realizing now, and he's going, crap. Uh-oh. Starts it. He does hit another slight supply block on 78 here, does Reynor, but only very slight as the Nexus is about to finish. But all of that's delayed probes, and he's now down 10 probes. He's got a 5 Stalker pressure here. He's got 2 Adepts coming in from the top left. I mean, I like the multitasking pressure from Reynor, but it feels like Dark has been on top of him. Dark has kind of gone first a few times here, and has taken some pretty good trades. Those Adepts going to try and wedge themselves, but not really finding a good choke point. They needed to get in this choke point, would have been the ideal one. Good focus fire for Reynor, though, but he does get surrounded and taken out. Stalkers clean up a little bit of the creep. Probe count's so low. It's 6 minutes, and his third is still only at 12 workers, and that's including the ones that are rallying to it. So definitely unfortunate, I think, start for Reynor. Not as smooth as it could have been. It just feels like Dark is making this difficult for him and really stressing him out as much as possible. Oh my god. Okay, Baneling has Roachhorn on the way. Remember, this is, I believe this is also a loser's bracket game, right? So, actually, I need to double check that, but I think this is a loser's bracket game. So I believe the loser of this series does get knocked out of Masters Coliseum. Stasis trap pressure keeping up, but Dark's been good at handling it. Pulls his drones away. Stalkers are there. Ling's poke on the other side. There's a battery ready. There's no extra tech just yet for Reynor. And Reynor is famous for oversaturating his bases and getting up to like 90 probes with Protoss very early. The question is, where does Reynor take his 4th? I wouldn't mind this bottom base. I think that's a decent call. Melee upgrade is finished here for Dark. Dark hasn't done too much else. He's making an infestation pit right now as well as roach speed. Oracles come in, grab a few workers. Not bad. There's a lot of Lings out though. 60 Zerglings. And Reynor not making a move for that extra base. He's going to go Psystorm Stalker by the looks of it. It's a good defensive composition to get you through the mid game. You're never going to be killing Zerg with Stalker Psystorm though. Very rarely will that work out on creep. Zerg's going to be too hard to hit with Storm when they got that creep movement speed bonus. 2 more drones go down as well as more mining time. Reynor's doing a good job. After a rough start, he's getting back to a good position. He's got Blink almost done. Psystorm +2 on the way. He's going up to 5 or 6 gateways now as well. Yeah, 6 gateways. And he's going to take that 4th base in the near future. He's still building more cannons and batteries right now. Makes me feel like he's a bit afraid of a big all-in. But we can see this is just Dark subpar macro on the 4th. I think seeing so few drones on the 4th base, you gotta realize some of them pulled away. Some of it's just Dark's a bit slower than a normal player to do it. But you can tell Reynor's kind of like, how can you be so slow on drones on your 4th? He thinks it might be some sort of mass Ravager Bane attack. It's not. Battery overcharge goes down. 2 cannons actually got surrounded. Good trade there, I think, for Dark. Dark's going for Baneling speed, +2 melee roach speed. It's hard to nail down what he's doing, and it feels to me like Reynor has no idea what's happening in this game. Now, I do wonder what the Hive is for, though, because we haven't seen a Hydroden or a Spire, which means he can use it for nothing except adrenal glands and further upgrades. Dark's completely forgotten his 2nd Evo chamber, and he hasn't really got any tech other than Ravagerling Bane. So I do think normally I'd be worried about sitting on Stalker Storm. In this scenario, I think it's perfectly fine. Reynor's going to turn on those Oracles. He will lose Zealots as well as some of the static going down. Baneling's getting ready to come in on the south. So many cannons, though. Cannon Psystorm spread defense. Very good for holding on against this stuff. It's going to come down to the multitasking of Reynor. Can he spot what's coming early enough to stop it getting in there? Oh, the High Templar! The High Templar! He's not watching! He's watching the top. That's why the Ling Roach distracted him, which meant the Banelings took out those High Templar. Reynor, where is the rest of his Psystorm? The Oracles and the Stalkers and the Zealots trying to defend here. He gets a big storm on those, but man, he needs to be blinking away right now with these Stalkers. He's losing his Archons. Dark just does a random shove at 9 minutes with a pack of Ravagerling Bane, a few slow Banes distracting in the bottom right, and he catches Reynor without any Psystorm on this top side. Reynor definitely caught off guard by this attack, loses his 4th base, and that's all Dark needed. Dark can pull back, add melee, add adrenal glands. He's got the Protoss force small enough. There's very few High Templar gathering energy. This is really awesome for him. Dark getting amazing engagement so far. And just felt like a very unfluid early game for Reynor, where I think he was a little afraid of all the moves that Dark was doing. Got 2 High Templar there. The other 2 High Templar morphed into an Archon. He needs Psystorm desperately, man. Without that, I don't know. He's going to try and take a 4th down to the bottom right now, is Reynor. 77 probes on 3 base. Not ideal for him. He's going to start Plasma Shield upgrades, which is ideal after +2 attack. You really want your Archons to absorb more Zergling and Baneling hits. That's one of the most important things as you scale up. Reynor recognizes that. Roach gets focused, but oh, bad Stalker Blink. Really bad Stalker Blink. Loses 2 Stalkers for free. These High Templar don't have much energy. He just morphed another Archon. He's only got 2 Psystorms. He's trying to make Glaives right now. That's got to be a misclick. Reynor in a little bit of panic. Nice. Psystorm does go down. 4 Oracles are out. And those Oracles are actually doing amazing damage on all these units. Dude, this is a sick hold. That's a beautiful hold for Reynor right there. His Zealots also killed a base in the bottom, which is really nice. That was an excellent fight for him. He was behind on the units lost before that for sure. The extra Oracles that he built has really helped him out. And he's got a 4th base coming up. If he can get that established and defend, he'll be good. But he's just so far behind on the supply. It kind of feels like Dark can just keep throwing the kitchen sink at him. Dark is making a North America of Ravages right now. An NA of Ravages. It's a NA of Ravages. He's going to go for it down that left side. The Stalker's trying to pick off a Ravager. He sees the attack coming in. Rain is aware of what's happening, but he doesn't have time to get Psystorm. This is all momentum. It's all in your face. Go, go, go. Dark is trying to hit before the Oracles get any more energy, and it's going to work out. The battery overcharge not really helping all that much. So much Ravager-ling and just not enough firepower for Reynor to hang on. A frustrating game 1 for Reynor. It didn't feel like Dark did anything all that fancy and special here. He just played solid, and he tested Reynor's multitasking and kind of hit his intentions a few times, so Reynor wasn't sure what was happening in the game. And Dark said, I'm solid, I'm decisive, I distract on one side, hit on the other side, my 2-prong is hard to deal with, and he definitely gives Reynor a firm pronging. Very nice way to start the series. Reynor, it looked close, it looked kind of promising for him, but I worry now, after losing a very straight-up macro game, that basically what's going to happen is Dark is going to be like crazy all-in the next game, and if he can catch him off guard with like a dirty all-in after winning a macro game, which is much easier because your opponent's wanting to be greedier, wanting to be more, you know, standard, they might get caught off. So Dark's always switching his strategies up. I don't think he does the same thing over and over very frequently at all. Zealot run bys in the south, getting surrounded by Zerglings. Reynor's microing well, but the first fight is always the most important one. The first fight is always the most important one. You know, it's kind of funny, guys. We actually forget that Ravager morph time got nerfed by like 3.5 seconds in that previous patch that came out some months ago, earlier this year, and we don't even really notice it. Some people were quite worried about that, but I feel like that ended up being a good change. Ravager's still a very effective unit. Ravager's on that left side. Coming on in. Stalker's trying to pull back to what once was the safety of a 3rd, but now is the bare undefended area. A few Archon Zealots trying to defend. Massling Bane running down the right side. Oracles and Cannons are like, no, please. But the Oracles, they turn on their lasers, they instantly run out. And the Banelings both take out the Nexus and the Probes, and Reynor is forced to tap. Alright, guys, nice start here for Dark in the bottom right, who is proxy hatching. What is this? Oh, he's going to proxy hatch Reynor. Okay, guys, Reynor in the top left. Okay, so Reynor is going to scout. If Reynor doesn't check for that 3rd base going down, then he's screwed. Reynor, please check for the 3rd base. Oh, this is such a dumb way to lose. Go check for it. Go check for it. Okay, so the way this build works is Reynor assumes there's a hatchery either here or here, and then when he sees the gas in the pool come down at the normal hatch first timing, it confirms that suspicion. Meanwhile, Dark is doing this. He builds spine crawlers here, flood speedlings. If Reynor builds a Nexus, he is pretty much screwed. It's very rare that I see anyone not end up either dead or massively behind if they build that Nexus. And he's not even scouting the gas in the pool here. Reynor's focusing on harassing against Dark right now. This is one of Dark's builds that he always does mix in. Not as often as his other all-ins. It's 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 15 games. But it's enough that you need to be aware of it. And I think the top Protoss players usually are, even though he does occasionally catch off max packs and stuff with it. Reynor goes Nexus into Cybercore. This is really bad. Reynor has no idea what's happening right now. And he might have noticed those drones leaving, which is actually very suspicious because there's no reason why a drone should be going out that early. But I don't think Reynor's been paying attention to his scouting. Remember, Reynor and Dark are both famous for not really paying attention to their scouting info and taking things for granted sometimes. Dark, though, is the one to take advantage of it this time, not Reynor. And Reynor just has no idea what's going on. We're on Reynor's vision, guys. He's about to see Creep on his natural, which let's watch from his camera so we can see his reaction. Oh, God, there we go. Creep is there. You can see his camera scroll down. He starts a Stalker. He's going to try and build off a battery or something. He's pulling off gas. And then puts back on gas. He's going to wall off. There's no, he's got to pull back to the main. I think your best bet here, cancel the Nexus and pull back to the main base. Trying to wall in with batteries. Maybe start a robo? 3 shield batteries, okay. So he's going to try and defend with Stalkers out of that gate. Get a second gate up. That second gate will probably die, though. Probes will try and defend in the main. Let's go back to everyone's vision. 3 spine crawlers coming up for Dark right now. Oh, this is not good. This is not good for Reynor. This is such a hard position because the thing is, even if you get unlimited healing with the batteries, what firepower do you have? 1 Stalker? You're going to have a second Stalker soon, and that's it. These spines do 30 damage versus armored. They are going to dish out so much hurt, and the Zerglings are non-stop. Link speed, 30 seconds from finishing, a non-stop wave of Zerglings. He doesn't even need to waste them. Dark's realizing, just let the spines tear it down. You know, how many more gateway units are going to get out before these production facilities go kaput? The batteries are already dying, and this is why usually you fall back to the main base in this scenario if you spot it this late. It's terrible to fall back to the main, but if you stay on the natural, your Stalkers are going to get surrounded. Link speed's almost done as well, remember. He's microing pretty well with the Stalkers. They can take out these Zerglings with a 3-shot, so Stalker, 3 count of Stalker is the magic number. Look at that, Warp Gate's not going to finish. 10, 12, yeah, 14 seconds from finishing, it gets cancelled. 2 more Stalkers still, but if he gets those out, that'll help. He's trying to build a Cybercore and more gateways in the main, but Link speed's here. And oh no, the Stalkers get surrounded. He tries to recall, but he's going to lose 1, 2 Stalkers go down. That is a disaster for Reynor. Another Stalker pops out, but it'll get surrounded as well. If it tries to run from there, there's no shield battery in the main just yet, and this is a perfect cheese for Dark. Just throw the kitchen sink at Reynor. Reynor is actually very good in the late defensive game because he understands how hard it is to kill a Protoss player when they get up all of the splash damage, the cannons, the batteries, the Psy Storms. But after winning the macro game in game 1, the cheese in game 2 was a perfect choice. I told you guys that Reynor would be more focused on being greedy and not watching for things, and oh, the Stalker gets surrounded just before the battery finishes. He also chrono boosts Warp Gate, which means no battery overcharge available. Dark is making Banelings right now. That's just going to make his life easy. He can smash into the batteries, kill any clumped up probes, and go boom boom all over Reynor. Yeah, this build order is actually a very good build order. I used a build order like this against Showtime in 2015. Who was it that told me how to do it? Oh, it's an old school streamer content creator, Zerg, who taught me this build. And it's been a mainstay of cheesy Zergs versus Protosses for the last 8 to 10 years. Oh, Banelings just blasting through. Beautiful, beautiful play there. Dark just does the sneaky all in. And this is why, as a Protoss player, you cannot tunnel vision on harassing the probes. You need to confirm that they actually built the 3rd hatchery. But a lot of Protoss players don't do that, and Dark says, hey, if you're not checking for those details, I'll punish you. All right, guys, Dark dominating Reynor's Protoss. He scared him into swapping back to Zerg. Reynor's going for what appears to be a 15 hatch opening. I didn't think Reynor had actually practiced this that much. Cool to see. I think that's just to stay safe, because Dark is a guy who could mix in some dirty all-ins, and 15 hatch, 15 pool will keep you very safe. I do wish Reynor stuck with Protoss. I think that's always the one thing that I've really wished with Reynor playing Protoss, is that he just like would stick it out. You know, I don't like the abandoning Protoss and going to Zerg. I just stick with Protoss. I really do feel like it's obviously, I mean, it's me backseating. It's not my job to choose which race he sticks with and stuff, but I just want to see him like slog it out in these hard situations a bit more, rather than swapping back to Zerg or back to Protoss when the going gets hard. Either way, it is a pretty tight opening for him. Hatchery into Overlord, into Spawning Pool. And this map's quite small. Yeah, historically, it was always a bit based on map. He'd kind of play Protoss, good maps for Protoss, Zerg, good maps for Zerg. Maybe he feels a bit too afraid of the fast pushes coming out of Dark on this map. Who knows? Dark going for a quicker gas, of course. Gas comes down about 18 seconds later here for Reynor. And Dark is immediately going to pull off minerals onto that gas as well. So this should give Reynor, you see he's down on workers right now, but because he's got more lava coming out of his natural earlier, notice his natural is about to finish. And as it finishes, we'll jump over to Dark's base to show you guys the difference. Dark's still 10 seconds from finishing. So the Queen's so much earlier here for Reynor, and this hatchery, he's already got an extra lava available. And look, the second lava is going to pop out and start building a drone before Dark's first lava is available. So you already have a 1 lava advantage as Reynor, even though you were down on drones earlier. And you're going to be injecting 11 to 12 seconds faster than Dark as well, which means those next 6 lava will pop 11 to 12 seconds faster. That is a big advantage on droning up 2 base. But right now, Dark had an extra drone or 2 up earlier than him for the early game. Dark has mined a little bit more money than him. I've got an adorable question in chat. How you doing, Abe Froban? How do you rewind Twitch VODs? Oh, so adorable. Yeah, you guys can watch any Twitch streamer's VODs anytime. I know it's not as easy as YouTube. You need to click on the name of the streamer, depending on what device you're going on. And you click videos, and you can see any streamer's stream until like 30 seconds before where they're up to in the live stream. It's always been that way on Twitch, but a lot of people don't realize. Some people, unless you close your VODs, which some streamers do. Anyways, Lair does start up very early for Reynor. You guys think this is a fake muta build, or will he actually go roaches here? Like, it might be, sorry, fake roach into muta, or do you think he actually goes roaches? I think it'll be mutas. I think he'll try to go sneaky mutas here. Dark's also playing a 2-base Lair, though, no link speed. Well, look at the worker advantage for Reynor. You can see he's just like, he's just ahead on those injects. Like, Dark gets a bunch of injects going, catches up on the drones, but Reynor's already been mining that money a bit sooner. So with this matchup, Reynor's opening is superior, but because Reynor's not taking a 3rd and 4th gas, I think he is playing roaches. You know, he starts a fast upgrade. He's not prioritizing gas over minerals. He's waiting till his 2 bases is full and then taking the gases. And it's actually Spire for Dark coming up, whereas, yeah, you can see Dark, even before his natural's done saturating, he's already taken those gases very early. So Dark's at an economic deficit, but he's going to have a Spire up at a pretty good timing. Link speed comes in, but it's a very delayed one. And I am curious to see who takes a 3rd first. Looks like Reynor is thinking of going forward for a 3rd first of all. Reynor's Overseer comes through, sees a very late Evo chamber, and quick gases on the natural mining. Oh, it's a bit of a tell if I've ever seen one. He's got double Overseer as well, so he can do the double goop. Guys, this is beautiful. This is the skid marks on your opponent's tech strategy, where you've got double Overseers, which can skid mark their structures to slow them down. He sees link speed on the way. He sees no signs of roaches. He will confirm it's not a Nidus worm. It is indeed a Spire. Spire and Nidus, the 2 fast tech plays you're always worried about, but does lose an Overseer for it, so it's not like it's cheap. And actually, no, Dark doesn't get the last hit off. Barely survives. That's good. So Reynor starts droning. Okay, because he could have held down the roach key and tried to do a punishing timing attack, and he still might be able to, say, cancel the 3rd if he goes for like 10 or 12 roaches, but he's just droning, building queens, building an infestation pit. So Reynor is playing the economic follow-up. He should be pulling back his overlords to safety. Yep, very well done. He's making sure he's not leaving any free kills out there. The Mutalisks will be able to kill this Overseer and nothing else. Now let's see. He's got Mutas on the way. You can see Dark's already rallied them to the back to make sure he cleans that Overseer up. Lots of droning going on for Dark, realizing he's going to need to drone that 3rd base very quickly. And I wonder if Reynor goes straight Hive, or does he get a few Infestors out? I always feel getting a few Infestors is essential for the mid-game, because that can stop both Banelings, Zerglings, and Mutas. Infestors are just this fantastic unit for getting you up to 3 or 4 bases and later into the game. And already 2 Infestors start up, so Reynor does agree with me. Dark clearing up his creep, very good move to limit the map vision of Reynor. Dark's very scary with these Mutaling Bane plays, and Reynor doesn't have an economic advantage, which scares me. Like, he's super safe with his Spore and Queen count, but actually that Spore is very far back. That leaves that whole extractor line open. Dark doesn't take advantage. That was a missed opportunity. He could have easily picked those workers off. Notice Reynor's pulled them off, because he literally was like, oh, I can't even defend that. Oh, Overseer barely gets back. Good transfuse there. 3 Infestors with no pathogen glands, 5 Queens, and more drones. But Dark, he's already got a 4th base on the way. His 3rd base getting close to fully saturated. Melee, his Baneling nest is coming in kind of late, which means Baneling speed timings aren't going to be here for a while. But I think that's fine. I think Dark can just go to 80 workers, take a 5th base, maybe even a macro hatch, and swarm at about the 8.5 minute mark. It's going to be hard for Reynor to get up lurkers in that time. He's most likely just going to be on Roach, Queen, Infestor, which can defend if they're positioned well enough. That's easier said than done. The goal for Reynor is to get to a 4th base. If he can get up to a 4th base, there's no pressure on him having to attack. But if he doesn't do that soon, I mean, you got Mutas containing you. Dark is expanding and droning like mad. You don't even know how fast he's droning as Reynor. He's trying to Changeling Scout, and Dark keeps denying it. Dark is all over him. Dark has got good control over the map. More Mutas are building. He's up to 15 Mutalisks. Notice he's only showed a few Mutas because he wants Reynor to think there might be a mass Roach timing. This is such a good play So Dark's committing to mass mutilating Bane, but he's making it look like it's actually a Roach follow-up. And Reynor, he's desperate for info. He's sending Roaches out to scout. He's like, dude, his changelings keep getting killed every time. Now, this is where a hot tip, guys. I've always told people, if you're playing Roach versus Muta, when you pull your Overseers back, you want to hide it in the corner of the map, because then they won't notice your changelings coming in, because they'll be coming in from the edges of the map. But changelings coming through the middle, they'll always be able to spot and deny. It's a very high-level tip, but something that's really important. Luckily for Reynor, he does sneak a Roach out. Does take out a drone or two, and most importantly, sees the Baneley Nest. He knows that it's mutilating Bane now, and 20 mutas coming forwards. Fungal growth is available. Spores are also available. Overseer does fly in, bit of miss micro for Dark. Hive's on the way as well as a Lurkadon. Reynor's sitting on 3 base. He's playing ultra conservative. This is very un-Reynor-esque. This is like him being like, hey, it's Dark. He's a wild man. I don't want to take any chances. Reynor is playing a very defensive style, a very turtley style. And Dark, he's got Baneling speed on the way. He's making lots of Banelings. Now, normally as Dark, you want to run Banelings into these mineral lines. Notice he's already got them there. But you also want to attack the right side. You want to attack as many angles as possible, like he did in Game 1 versus Reynor's Protoss, to try and catch Reynor not looking at the right position at the right time. If your mutas can distract in the main base at the same time, or you can do like a Ling drop or something, that's also great. And yet, Dark is not going for that move. I think he's saying, he's looking at this and he's saying, well, if you don't have a 4th, I think you're going to be good enough at defending 3 base. Like, I don't think I can get in there. If you were taking a 4th, I'd go in. But instead, he's like, screw that. I'll just make an infestation pit. Now, I wonder if he goes Lurkers. Most pros go Lurkers. I am adamant that Ultra Viper is the best transition in this scenario for Dark. It's very easy to get to Ultras, and Viper's hard counter Lurkers. If you can just blinding cloud those, like, it's amazing. Muta's going for a bit of a crazy dive here. He gets 6 drones. It's a lot of spores, though. The spores are making this a costly maneuver. Actually, a lot of the Mutas got damaged but didn't die. Queens are coming back to defend this. The Lurkadon goes down. He's only been able to morph 6 Lurkers. 7th one on the way. Good damage. And Dark's got money for days, man. His Hive. Wait, did he cancel his Hive? Guys, didn't his Hive already start earlier? Am I crazy? Or if anyone else saw that, I thought the Hive was already on the way. I could be incorrect on that. But maybe he accidentally canceled it. I'm not sure. Anyways, I'll have to double check at the end of the game. Might be imagining things. Muta's still dancing around. It's a lot of Ling Bane. He definitely, now that the 4th is here, he's going to try to roll in. But look at this defense. Lurker, Infester, Roach on all sides. Queens and Hydras backing it up. Hydra upgrades coming in as well right now for Reynor. And he's getting Carapace. Carapace is essential versus Mutiling Bane. But as the Ultra Viper comes in, that's going to be the real kicker. I think a lot of people... Oh, here we go. He's coming. He's coming from all sides. Dark's going in from all sides, but there are Lurkers everywhere. Crazy move. The Infestor gets sniped, but it lands an amazing Fungal first. Parasitic Bomb to follow it up as well. Nice split on the Muta there. Roaches and Fungal crushing these Infestors. Second Fungal. Going to kill every single one. Beautiful hold there by Reynor. Banelings on the south didn't even go in. Anything that did try to go in, no doubt, got sniped off. That there was a big loss for Dark, who still... His Ultra Cavern didn't go down. His Hive and Ultra Cavern are so late. Guys, a lot of people will tell me Ultras are bad. But yeah, if you don't build your Ultras on time, they're bad. The Hive was delayed. The Ultra Cavern's now delayed. He's trying to attack with Massling Bane. He's got to surround this army to make this work. Baneling's rolling in. Baneling's rolling in. Dark's got it. Dark's got a big juicy 15 workers. Never mind. I should never doubt Dark. He finds a big bit of damage. But right now, his army is weak. His best bet is kind of base trading this, or if he can just get on top. The Mutas going on in. Parasitic Bombs landing on there. The Hydra's trying to do a spready, but the Vipers are getting gunned down. The Lurker Roach cleanses the ground army of Dark. Dark still has Mutas in the sky. Queens are going to come forward and try to protect those Lurkers. The Vipers do get out of there, but all the Infestors are now gone. Units lost tab 4,000 in favor of Reynor, but Reynor's only on 55 workers. He can't afford too many of these trades. If he loses his 4th, that's a big problem for him. That being said, look at the army supply advantage. 60 extra army supply, and we still haven't seen a Viper or an Ultra. Guys, Blinding Cloud will ruin Reynor's army. If we see Ultraling with no Viper, I'm going to be very upset. He's spending all of his money on Baneling still. So he's just trying to kill the Hydras with Banelings and win with Mutas. Dark doesn't feel he's got time to get to Ultra Viper. He's just going to go right now. He does dive in, but oh man, he loses a lot of his units. Nice split against the Parasitic Bomb. There's still plenty of Hydras in here though. 19 Mutas against 15 Hydras. The Hydras have 2-1 upgrades. The Mutas also have 2-1 upgrades. Equal upgrades on both sides. The Mutas are barely going to win this fight. But is that enough? Because look, there's Queens coming in behind it. The Roach is threatening to run forward. Queen's building behind this for Dark right now. He's trying to spend his money on anything that he can to hang on. He's got 2-1 upgrades on his Lings as well. Looks like he's F2ing a little bit. I think those Mutas should definitely be microed separately from those Zerglings to try and work on this, but those Queens have so much juice. Reynor is all in. He's trying to rebuild his 4th base, but he's down 30 workers in this game, and he's been down 30 workers for a long time, but he catches these units as they're morphing. The Banelings all dying before they can really get anything done. There's still no spellcasters here, though. Remember, there is one Viper that's going to come back to the front. It's gone home. It's sucked off an Evo chamber. It's refilled its juice, and it's got magic juice. It's got its level 2 spell slot ready to go. It's going to pop it. Nice! Parasitic bomb in the center of the Mutas. Dark a little slow on the spread. He does take a few ticks of that damage. Not too bad, though. Viper does pull behind the Roach Hydra. Queens and Roaches now ransacking the mineral line, but you need more damage than this. Remember, Dark has more money where that came from. The Hydras do get chased back home by that. The Mutalisks, sorry, get chased back home. 5 Ultras on the way. The Ultras are very late in this game, though. Those Ultras needed to get out earlier. On such a small map, it's hard to stop these sort of pushes. Mutiling Bane is better the bigger the map is, because you can use the mobility more. But look at these Queens and that Lurker. These Lurkers are just slaying. 32 kill Lurker, 18 kill Lurker. Ultras popping on top, trying to take him out. Transfuser's not enough, even with Kindness plating in 3-1. The Ultras get wrecked in that choke point on the ramp. And this is where, you know, a trickle of Ultras, it's a dribble of Ultras right now against a thick stream of Reynor's units coming through the middle of the map. And a trickle of Ultras with no Viper support ain't going to get it done when they're this outnumbered. It's individual melee units fighting hordes of Roach Hydra. Dude, juicy push for Reynor. Keeps defending the desperate counterattacks. He's always got just enough Hydras wherever Dark tries to strike. And he's continuing forward over here as well. Dark's trying to micro his way out of trouble, but look at that. He's losing his last mining. Roach Hydra's getting up there. A few Roaches in the bottom left. The Ultra is going to try and play hungry hippos with these Roaches, but the Roaches quick and evasive. Dark a little slow to chase them down. Mutas will eventually deal with it. And actually, he's so oversaturated, losing the drones doesn't really matter. But check it out. Reynor's got his 4th up now. Even though he's barely mined his 4th all game, it's been almost all 3-base mining. Dark was a bit too greedy. He went 90 drones. I think if Dark hit earlier with Banelings, maybe he finds some damage. But the timing kind of disappeared to the point where all of his focus should have been on, okay, wait, get Vipers, get Ultras, transition. But he was slow on his transition, and he started throwing waves of Muta Baneling in very cost inefficiently after the timing window had closed. That was the big mistake for Dark in this game, is it's like, okay, he's not pushing early, he's teching Hive, no worries, that's fine as long as he gets Ultra Vipers on time. But then he started throwing Banelings away very sloppily, and you could see how quick, the moment Reynor won a fight, he just like springs across the map, and even with his slow army, he got over there so fast. And we saw that Mutalisks, as much as they can kind of overwhelm the Hydras with so much Roach Lurker, the Ling Bane becomes nearly worthless in a frontal engagement. Once you got lots of Lurkers and Roaches in front, you add Spellcasters to help deal with those Mutalisks, and it's really tough to take on Hydralisks. Reynor's got a giant army, 135 army supply. He can't lose this game, guys. 10 Ultras with no Viper support, much like Cyril at BlizzCon. Dark not realizing, I mean, that Blinding Cloud is the only thing that makes Ultras really good versus this sort of army. It's when you've got momentum and economy advantage and you get some Blinding Clouds. Ultras on their own doesn't really deal with this army as the Lurker count grows. Once they get to 10, 20 Lurkers, it's real bad. Banelings rolling in on the right, getting 20 drones. He ain't out till he's out, but Reynor does Lurker harass the bottom, makes those drones evacuate, getting big damage himself. He's just being really careful to make sure he doesn't get surrounded. And he knows that he's like, you know what, that's a lot of Ultras. Let's go for 20 Lurkers. He's like, I think once I have 20 Lurkers, I can win this game. 22 Reynor Lurkers marching forward. Dark needs to come in from 2 or 3 angles. There's no way he can do this from one side. He's going to try and pull some drones into the fight as well. They are Lurker fodder. Oh me, oh my. Dark also doesn't have any detection. Oh no. His army gets slaughtered. Reynor weathers the storm on 3-base for a very long time and then pounces across the map to get a point on the board. All right, guys, Reynor does get a point on the board, but he had to play uncharacteristically turtley, and he was so careful there. And it's hard to play like that, man. When you're worried about what this Mad Dog's going to throw at you all game, Dark up here, it's hard. Dragon Kaiser Gaming versus Basilisk, though, a classic match. These two do have some of the funnest brawls in the past. Like that PvZ series that went 4-3 in Dark's favor. a year or two ago was one of my favorite series. It was so much fun. And Reynor was so close to like winning it. It was insane. Kind of a shame Reynor's going back to Zerg, but that last game was actually very well played by him. And I really liked the dynamic where it felt like Reynor was playing Protoss and Dark was playing Zerg. Dark played the low cost efficiency swarmy units. And Reynor said, I don't need that many bases. I'm just going to build a death ball of Lurker, Infestor, Viper, Hydra. Get wrecked. So, yeah, even when he's playing Zerg, he's playing Protoss. I like it. It's funny because we say he plays Protoss like a Zerg player, but he plays Zerg like a Protoss player sometimes. Good old Reynor. He's going 15-15 again to be safe against Dark's cheesy shenanigans. And remember, I do think it gave Reynor a slight build advantage in that last game with the extra speed in which he droned up his 2 bases. Queens are pumping 2 at a time. Just see that delay, man. Look at this. Look at every time I'm just floored by how big that gap is. 11-second advantage on the Queens. Very, very cool opening. I love that Eric popularized this and that the Basilisk boys, Cyril, of course, led the charge. I think Reynor's seeing Cyril's success with it and he's like, yeah, okay, this is a good build. Like, this is such a solid opening, man. Cyril's been revolutionizing ZvT openings with it as well. Like, really fascinating. His 2-base Roach opening is so cool. Reynor, nice double inject there. Straight to 4 queens. Interesting. 4 queen in Zerg versus Zerg, man. It's not a bad opening. You can also poke out if the overlords are too close and kill them. And you can very easily deny scouting. Dark goes in. Dark goes out. Dark's down 2 drones so far. But he's got a 3rd base. He's delayed his Ling speed to get that 3rd base up, though. Oh, very cute opening. He's building a 3rd queen as well. Dark is doing something very cool. I think he's going to skip Ling speed entirely and just go straight to Roach's Carapace. He might even go... Oh, is he going to do 3-base Carapace, maybe? We'll have to see what upgrade he gets. Reynor's going for a quick Evo chamber. He's up still just about 2 workers right now, but it's not a massive advantage by any means. The overlords are still very close. This one here on the left could get sniped down. If Reynor's willing to send those 2 queens off creep, he could kill that. Dark is not really respecting on the left. Okay, there we go. He pulls them both back. Good play here by Dark, pulling those overlords back. And it's +1 range. Okay, it's just a big 3-base Roach play for Dark. Wow, he's got a good read on Reynor. He's like, yeah, you can't be aggressive off this. Unfortunately, he's wrong. Reynor's going Ling speed. It's a fake Evo chamber. I don't know if Reynor faked an upgrade and then canceled it. I have a feeling he did. He's massing Zerglings on 2-base right now. And if he goes for the natural and tears like the Roach Horn down or something, that could be huge. He could definitely kill the 3rd base with this, I believe, because the Roach Horn's not even done. It's like halfway done. There's no Lings, but if he moves out right now, Reynor kills him, I think. Reynor might just get an easy victory with these Lings. Dark is expecting a macro play. Dark does still have these Lings here, though. Great scouting for Dark. Should have ignored those and ran straight past, in my opinion. Dark pulling back to the natural. That 3rd is dead. And Dark knows it. Dark's so smart. He pulls back to his natural. He says, yeah, there's no way I'm defending that. Just give up the 3rd. I'm up a handful of workers. That's fine. And Reynor not going for broke. I thought he would go for the natural, but I think seeing the queens there, killing the 3rd base is probably the wiser choice. He's going lair. He's got his delayed 3rd base on the way. He's finishing droning up all of his gases. He should be taking that 4th one as well. Problem. Dark's a clever boy. He says, okay, you got my 3rd, but guess what? I'm going Muters and Roaches at the same time. I'm going to have really early +1 Roaches, which is an advantage on the upgrades that you'll know I have. Oh, look, he's building Overlords so they pop out safely. The Roach is a bad idea. That Roach will die. I think that was a mistake from him. But using the lava just to build a few Overlords, just so the lava isn't wasted, great way to use that extra production. Very clever. Yeah, so you're going to be like, oh god, he's got fast +1 Roaches. Reynor's whole mind here is going to be occupied by how scary those Roaches are with +1 and Roach speed. And he's not going to be thinking about Mutalisks as much. It would be very next level for him to have this awareness and realize Mutas are on the way. Because there is no sign of Mutalisks right now. And you're also like, yeah, he's on 2-base Roach. He has to take a delayed 3rd. I'm going into my own Roaches. This is a good game. Like, this is, you know, this is a totally... I know what's happening in this game. He does not know what's happening, though. He's making Carapace before range, interestingly. Where's his lair? It is finished. Roach speed does start. He's up 14 workers. Reynor's got to be careful here. And this is such a good start against the Mutalisk. But he's got to build enough Roaches to be able to defend the Roaches on the ground as well. He's Overseer scouting. The Spire is done. First Mutalisk is starting. Good information denial from Dark in this series. He's had a big worker advantage for a long time, has Reynor. If he can figure out what's happening with the mutas, he'll be in a great spot. But if he doesn't know about it, Overlords are ready to be sacrificed. As I say that, he's pulling back an Overlord, which means he's aware Mutalisks could come out. Like, it feels like he's just so solid. He's like, yeah, there's always a chance Mutalisks could surprise. And he's got 7 queens. So he's actually really well set up to deal with Mutalisks already. Like, 5 mutas, 7 queens shuts that down. And he sees it now with the Overseer. Wow, okay. Yeah, Reynor's going to just take 6 gas, drone up, drop an infestation pit. Let's go to Reynor's vision, guys. Hydroden. I don't know about that. Hydroden. Actually, because there's no Banelings, you can play Roach Hydra, can't you? I've heard Lambo talk about this, where he's like, well, Hydras are bad versus Banes, but if you know they're playing Muta into Roach, Hydras are great. They can just fight Mutas, they can sit behind your Roaches and do more damage. It's not a bad play. And because there's no Infestation Pit, and he's not droning, this tells us Reynor is 100% committing to a 3-base Roach Hydra timing. Off the early lead he had, I could definitely see this working. The only problem, as we go back to everyone's camera, is that Dark will have +2 range finished by the time that Roach Hydra attack hits. He's going movement speed first. Plenty of queens are available. I love the way Reynor split his queens up here. Look at that. Mutas ain't finding nothing. Ling's going to go over there. There's an early 4th base up for Dark, and Dark's droning really hard. Wow, so he's going like big 70 drone mass Roach. He'll be able to make a lot of Ravages as well. Because Reyn is spending more gas in Hydralisks, he's probably going to get just about... I wouldn't want to get more than 8 Hydralisks if I was him. I feel like if you spend too much gas on Hydras, it can definitely hurt you. But he's got 1-1 versus +2. +2 attack now starting for Reynor. Reynor actually ended up building more drones, so he's going to 67 workers. I thought he was going to hit a much sharper timing, and I actually think that would have killed Dark. Because Dark's built a 4th and 70 drones, if you stay on 58 workers here with the early economy advantage you had, I don't think Dark can stop it. These mutas are worthless supply. You're already up 20 Roaches now with Hydras coming in. If Reynor goes right now, I do think he can kill him, but Reynor's taking his time. He's starting a 4th base. Reynor's timing is slipping away. And Dark's now having time to let that economy work, maxing on his own Roach Ravager. Reynor, I believe, has misplayed this. I know I'm very critical lately, and I'm trying to, ease back on that. It's not a big misplay, but the thing is, guys, if you want to play a long game, you want Infestation Pit for either Hive, Lurkers, and Vipers, or you want to hit a sharp timing with Roach Hydra. Just taking a 4th base with Roach Hydra, I feel like his advantage from the early game has now disappeared. It's not the end of the world. He's going to slowly tech up, but it's just taking this to a more even game, whereas I think Reynor was ahead 1 or 2 minutes ago. Roach Ravager trying to defend. Good positioning by Reynor. Very nice positioning. Just dodging the Biles. Dark's trying to break his concave. Checking on the units lost tab. Dead even at 1,000 resources lost on both sides. Dark is going to try and sneak some mutas in the right, but the queens are defending. He's going to scoop around the back with those mutas and find his way in. I like that Reynor broke these rocks. Reynor's like, how dare you? But Reynor's getting a bit ambitious here. He's going in with only half of his army. Dark can fight if you're only engaging with a section at a time. Mutas in the backside looking for an opening, and they will find it. Queens will have to respond to that at the same time. Reynor's looking for the flanky flank. He sends some Roaches across. Dark's ready for it. Reynor wants to force a big old battle here. The bile count, very impressive out of Dark, though. Dark going to collapse on that north side. Very decisive move. Reynor got a bit too far out of the map. Big mistake for Reynor. He's getting punished for it. Reynor was ahead earlier in the game, and I think he's made the mistake of thinking he was still ahead. Once you max out, you're no longer ahead. Great Roach run by at the same time, though. I thought those Roaches got cleaned up. What the hell? I think Dark must have microed and F2'd his whole army to the front, not realizing those Roaches were still there. That gives Reynor a lot of damage on the eco. Gets Dark down to 58 drones. Dark is not replacing those workers. Dark is trying to just force big fights, but Reynor keeps trying to trap him. Reynor is actually down on army supply right now, and he keeps taking this risky move of moving out into Dark's territory. Reynor just surrounded the right side of his own army. Big misplay by Reynor there. That army just got hammered, and Dark has more corrosive biles, so if you chase him, you're eating biles this whole time. This was a bad fight for Reynor. Reynor is now down 1,300 resources in the units lost. That was not a good fight. He's also heavily outnumbered here. Even though the positioning on the bottom of the ramp was good for him, he needs to take the time to remax. He killed a lot of drones, but remember, Dark is not replacing those drones. He's replacing it with army. So when you're down on army supply, you have to be extra careful about how you take fights. Reynor is picking fights a bit too aggressively so far. He's got to stabilize. He just lost his Ravager morph on the right side. He's going to have to morph them a bit further back. because if you don't have Ravagers in this dance, you will be losing. The Ravagers have extra range, and those Corrosive Vials will punish you. They force you to break formation continually. Reynor's trying to bring around the right side, a flank on the top, but Dark is pushed in before that flank is even ready. Reynor keeps trying to surround Dark here, and every time he does it, Dark punishes him by collapsing on one of his flanks before the other units are in position. Reynor keeps trying to encircle Dark. It's not working. He needs to pull back. He's got to pull drones into this fight. Queens have been pulled in to try to help defend here. He's already started to lose workers. His Roach Ravager count is diminished. These Roaches coming in from behind do get a decent angle. But man, the way Dark used his Roach Ravager is exceptional. His micro is so good. I've asked Reynor before, how is Dark so good when his builds suck? And he said he just has like insane micro. Doesn't matter how bad his position is, he can always get back in the game with his Roach Ravager control. And I got to agree with that. It's actually wild how well the Roach Ravager picked fights, even though there were Hydras out for Reynor as well. It feels like Dark somehow used this momentum to his advantage. He's collapsing on top right now. He's breaking through the numbers. He never replaced the workers, but it doesn't matter because the fights have been so good. The Roach Ravager just killing it right now. I mean, Dark is so decisive. His positioning is second to none. An absolute monster. And look at that, biling down Overlords on the left as well. He's up 30 supply now, having killed the third base of Reynor. The upgrades are even for the last minute or so of that battle. +2 Carapace kicking in for both sides at very similar times. Darks will kick in about 20 seconds, and just a fantastic fight. Reynor just split his army up a little bit too much there, guys. He needed to keep his army together a bit more. It's scary to do that against the number of Corrosive Vials that Dark had. But yeah, he needed to just be a little more patient on spreading those units out for the flank, and it would have been a very more even situation where he could stabilize. Mass Roach Ravager still only on 58 workers. Dark's a bit high on gas. He could probably pull off some of these gas workers and replace some of the mineral guys he lost. 3 Roach run by on the left, an attempt for Reynor to find something here. He's going to try and use these Corrosive Vials. Does land a few of them while evading all of Dark's. Good micro for Reynor. Dark's got these changelings giving him a little bit of forward vision as well. Goes forward, does take down some of these queens. Nicely done. Reynor trying to just hang on for dear life. His 3 Roaches on the left get chased away. He loses a few Roaches and Ravagers on the right, though. Ooh, Dark really keeping that pressure up, dude. It's funny because Dark always talks about how he's old and he can't compete with these young kids like Clem and Reynor. They're too fast. He wishes he could be as young as them. I watch Dark in games like this and I'm like, you facetious guy. You silly guy. You silly goose. Pretending that these kids are faster than you. Dark's in and out is unmatched, man. The Roach Ravager poking forwards, poking back, finding angles, and his decisiveness second to none. Reynor's last defensive line is crumbling. He's trying to hang on, man. He's really putting up a dogged effort. Reynor is hard to get out of the game, but I keep looking at the numbers and just saying there's no way back from this. Dark has a 4th mining, you don't. And he's swapping into Mutas. Oh, that's a dirty way to finish the game, that is. To be fair, Mutas suck against +2 Carapace Roaches, but Reynor's so poor. He has no queens. He has 1 queen out with a 2nd building. The Mutalisks are just going to come forward and pick off his Ravagers, and it's going to turn anywhere where there's no Spore Crawler into a no-go zone for Reynor, and he's probably going to have to tap out. Those Mutas fly in. They start picking off the Ravagers here. Every Ravager costs as much as a Mutalisk. It's a very expensive unit. He's forced to try and counterattack. Dark just backs away and shoves in with the Roach Ravager on the right. Muta's trying to get Corrosive Bile, but of course Dark ain't going to let that happen. On the left side, it looks like Dark does take a little bit of a sloppy engage, but the Mutas are getting so much value. GG, well played, comes out, or just GG, I should say. I'm saying well played, though. Dark looked really fantastic, and just a few of those flanking maneuvers, Reynor split his army up a little too much, and Dark punished him for it. GG, well played.